CodeSee is the first visual code-based understanding tool. Visual code-based understanding is not a new thing. It's a new way to do many of the hard things you were doing anyway, just not struggling to do it in your head in a way that's really collaborative and simply much faster. CodeSee allows you to visualize your code for better code-based onboarding, planning, code reviews, refactoring, and so much more. I won't tell you, I'll just show you. First and foremost, CodeSee is a GitHub app that analyzes your code base to create auto-generated complete visualizations or a map of your code base so that you can visually inspect, summarize, and share with minimal input or effort. Although we analyze your code, we do not store your code on our servers. We use GitHub's APIs to analyze aggregate data. All of your proprietary code stays on GitHub. We do not store it. And we are a SOC 2 Type 2 compliant organization. From day one, with a few clicks, we automatically visualize how your code is connected so your entire team can understand how it works. As you merge new changes to the code base, we visualize your change in the context of the rest of your code, showing you what changed and what effects your change will have across your code base. Once your changes merge, our original maps auto-update themselves, so you never actually have to worry that your visualization does not reflect your actual code. You can think of our maps in two layers. The bottom layer is an auto-generated, auto-updated layer, and the top layer you can add any kind of architectural knowledge that you want in the form of labels, notes, colors, questions, asynchronous walkthroughs, and more. All of this metadata will persist as the underlying nodes and connections change. And in the case of tours, we will alert you that something is out of date. This is a really powerful combination that really speeds up your workflow and allows you to actually share with other people. There are many times where you need to onboard others to the code. When you are teaching others about the code base at scale, the other person has never seen that part of the code base before. When someone writes new code, or when you're trying to just walk someone through a particular tricky part of the code base or any gotchas, you can create a map just like this called an onboarding map. CodeSee allows you to easily create these onboarding maps that can scale for all of these situations and more. We're finding that a single developer who uses CodeSee can save a full day a month, which easily translates to months of dev time as your team scales. There may be other times when a dev needs to onboard themselves to code like this. All of the devs that knew part of the code base were no longer there. You had to take a contractor off of a project, or the person who knew the part of the code base is on vacation or unavailable. There used to only be one reliable solution to this problem, which meant to read the code line by line. You may or may not have documentation that's up to date or even written. And with CodeSee, we can drastically speed up your engineer's understanding of the code because our maps or summaries sync directly to the code, so you can trust that your diagrams are always the source of truth. Since you can add any kind of labels you want on top of your maps without littering your code with comments, Maps acts as a fully synced scratch pad so you can make notes directly on the file. One example when you're onboarding yourself is to label helpful versus not helpful things and things that you need to follow up on. You can take this map to pair with others and ask questions. If you don't know where to start diving in, Auto Insights help to surface a few ideas of where you can get started, such as where all the latest commits happening, where all the new files and folders happening, where are all the largest files, and where are the most recent files. Planning out future changes is a struggle because of unknown unknowns. Again, because we've already mapped out your code base, you can label it in a number of really flexible ways so you can plan out your future changes, whether you're planning out a new feature, you're planning a refactor, labeling a plan for technical debt. And again, because our maps are all in real time and auto-updating, you and your colleagues can validate your plans, refactors, and everything will stay up to date even as the code continues to be written. Once you're done planning and you're ready to write new code, you may have the problem that you think all of the dependencies, but you really don't know until you get there. Our review maps act as a first line of defense for code quality check before you ever submit your code for a review. When you start writing your code, you can throw up a draft PR and we will automatically post an image to your PR so that you and anyone else can visually see what impact your change will have on the rest of the code base. Clicking on your image gives you a complete interactive code review experience. This experience is also available directly in your editor, so you can use VS Code and never need to leave your IDE. At a glance, you can sanity check that you haven't missed any files, that you haven't caused any circular dependencies or introduced bugs, and you can make sure that the code matches the mental model that you have in your head. We give both devs and dev leaders a bit of peace of mind by uncovering more unknown unknowns before the code goes into production. Quality code reviews can be a challenge for a number of reasons. First, it's hard for the reviewer to know where to start and wrap their head around the change. Code reviews often look like a big block of code in alphabetical order. Next, it requires the reviewer to figure out how the author was thinking, build up that mental model, and understand why they made the decisions that they did or didn't do. And large code reviews are awful. There's no good way to break them down into manageable chunks. Our visual code review experience helps you get oriented faster because you can quickly understand the impact of your changes. You can see the connections between files and identify what's been added, moved, or completely removed. You know where to start because your changes are laid out intuitively from left to right, and so you can stop reviewing files alphabetically. You also have the ability to review files inside out or outside in, whatever helps you understand the code fastest. You can break a review down into its related pieces by reviewing a file alongside its related files, and it's presented in a manageable section for review. For example, when we click on one of the files that change, and we just don't display one of the files, but we also may pull any files that are directly related to those files, even if they weren't part of the PR. And you can complete your code review right here. Authors can create interactive tours to help guide the review. Reviewers only need to focus on what's relevant. Sharing intent between team members is easy, and it's all synced with GitHub so that if someone doesn't use CodeSee, it's all there. Our devs who use CodeSee are reducing time in code reviews by up to 2 hours a week. But maps aren't just a way to communicate with the dev team. They're also visual summaries of the code that can be used to communicate to everyone else. If you need alignment with your PM, design, sales teams, your manager, or other department leaders, CodeSee allows the code to get out of the engineering department so that it can be reasoned about. You can label team ownership maps for potential reorgs, hiring, or planning. Finally, cross-functional teams using CodeSee are seeing unprecedented alignment by rallying around a single picture so that non-technical people can understand in addition to your dev team, allowing your teams to stop meeting about the code and get back to getting stuff done.